Hello, this is Angelia with today's wisdom. Today's wisdom comes from Daily Om, the dance of intimacy. Coming back to center in a relationship. Anyone in a long-term relationship knows that the dance of intimacy involves coming together and moving apart. And that's in any relationships. And that's how it should be. Because you should come together as a couple for some things, and then you should move apart to be an individual and have a life of your own. Because like we were talking about yesterday, people can be a part of your life, but they can't be your life. Because that's problematic, because no one can live up to that. So you should have a life of your own outside your life as a couple. Early in a relationship, intense periods of closeness are important in order to establish the ground of a new union. And that's true. You gotta, at first we all have those lovey-dovey romantic feelings. And then, you want to be close to this person and know everything about this person, and do everything with this person. But as time goes on, that wanes, and that's fine. Because, love is a choice in some ways. You choose to love, and if you still have feelings for that person, you still choose to love that person, because it's a choice. You can choose not to, or you can choose to. It's your choice. Just as a sapling needs a lot more attention than a full-grown tree, budding relationships demand time and attention if they are to fully take root. And that's why a lot of relationships never get off the ground, because one partner or another doesn't invest the time or the effort to make the relationship work. I was in a relationship with a man who, it was pretty much all about him. He didn't invest any time in what I wanted to do. He didn't put any effort in the relationship. It was a one-sided relationship. I was doing all the giving and he was doing all the taking. So I ended that relationship. And it was sad because I really did care about the person, but I want to be loved and cared about too. I don't want a one-sided relationship, and you shouldn't either. Once they become more established, the individuals in the union begin to turn their attention outward again to the other parts of their lives that matter, such as work, family, and friendships. And like I said, that is as it should be. If you are consumed with your partner, then that's an obsession. That's not, a relationship. And like I said, you shouldn't be doing all the work. The other person should be investing time and effort in it too. And if they're not, like the old saying from the movie, they're just not that into you. This is natural and healthy. See? Natural and healthy. Yet, if a long-term relationship is to last, turning towards one another recurrently with the same curiosity, attention, and nurturance of earlier times is essential. And, I'll catch that, with my husband every now and then. We'll drift apart, do our own things, and then, we'll have a shared experience or whatever, and we come back closer again and, have a little nostalgia about when this happened or that happened, or when we were living here, or, back when we were in school. And that's how it should be. You have a history together, and you should, have that feeling of, closeness. And I personally believe that you should be best friends, because I've never been in a long-term relationship with a person I wasn't, best friends with at first, because I think you need to be best friends to live a life together. Now, there are some men, I mentioned the word friend to one man who went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and like trashed me at work, came to my house, trashed my front porch, broke my planters and everything. Yeah, unbalanced, yeah, is a nice word for that. But I think you have to be friends first. I think you have to be friends and hang out and date and get to know each other before you develop those feelings of love. If you have that feeling at first for this person that you don't even know, that's either lust or obsession. Your spouse, I feel, should be your best friend. That, you're always there for each other, and no matter what, even if you don't always get along, but you'd have each other's backs to the gates of hell. In a busy and demanding world full of obligations and opportunities, we sometimes lose track of our primary relationships, thinking they will tend to themselves. And that's true. We don't always, think about that. We're trying to do our thing, and sometimes we don't think about, the relationship. But that's important, and especially men get lost in work and things, and they kind of forget that, they have a partner who's wanting to have a romantic relationship with them, and they have to be available for that to happen. That also is a thing that happens. Excuse me, here I got a little ear itch. Hope that gnat's not bugging my ear, but my fruit bowl sits right here. So it sits right here. That's why, we have the gnats. We're not gross, but the fruit flies, we have the little fruit bowl here with our bananas and stuff, so it's a thing. But I felt like, I didn't spend enough time with my grandma. My grandma, who's really good to me for the first 6 years of my life. She's probably like my lifeline. And after that, I would talk to her on the phone. I occasionally went to see her. But I felt like there at last I could have gone more. But I chose to be wrapped up in, the relationship I was in at that time. And it didn't work out. And he was very needy. I even missed half my own birthday party because he wouldn't go. And finally his sister said, "You go and take the car. He shouldn't make you miss your birthday party because he wants to stay here and drink. That's not cool." And so I did. But I could have spent more time with her, and I regret that because, she was my grandma, and she loved me, and I loved her, and, I could have spent more time. So sometimes you don't realize that you're not, investing enough in a relationship until it's over. We may have the best intentions when we think about how nice it would be to surprise our partner with a gift or establish a weekly date night. That is something that, we do, and we do think that's going to be a nice little surprise for them. Yet somehow life gets in the way. And it has a habit of doing that. My mother-in-law is a very selfish, needy person. And she knew we were having a date night on Friday night. And so she stepped in and decided we needed to come see her on Friday night. Because she's very jealous and possessive of her children. And even her grandchildren, which I ain't going to get into it, but I don't like that. Because those were my babies, not hers. But some people, feel like maybe date night's not that important. Maybe time with the spouse is not that important. But it is an investment in the relationship. And that shows that you care about the relationship. And yes, life happens, but you need to make time for each other. Because if you don't, you grow apart. And then at some point, someone else might come along that's treating you or them better, and then you or them think, hey, this person cares, this person's investing time and effort in me. And of course, everyone does at the beginning of a relationship, try to get you. Maybe I should go be with this person because they act like they give a crap about me, and this person doesn't anymore. So why would I want to stay with this person when this person is investing time and effort? And that's where you start to get into trouble. So you should invest time and effort into your relationship to let your partner know you still give a crap. We may think that our love is strong enough to survive without attention. And again, like I said, a lot of men make this mistake. Because if you're not giving us an attention, now, my grandma's generation had a saying, and I don't believe this, but they had the saying, it's like, if he's not giving it to you, he's giving it to somebody else. And I don't necessarily believe that, but if he's not giving you time and attention, that kind of can say to you he doesn't value you. And that might not even be how he feels, but that's what it looks like to you. That if you valued our relationship, you would invest the time and attention to make sure you let me know that you did. Yet, even mature trees need water and care if they are to thrive. So the same thing goes for relationships. One of the best ways to nourish a relationship is through communication. Talk to each other. Set a time aside every night to sit down together and talk. And and you're not always going to be super talkative. I know, especially past several days, it's been too cold and my bones hurt. And so I know when we've been talking, I give these like little small yeah, no answers because I'm just tired and I hurt. And I don't feel like having lengthy discussions because I'm in pain. So, you have to take into consideration what's going on around you. If you feel like, they're not responding like you want them to, then you can ask them, is something wrong? And they say, oh man, yeah, my legs hurt so bad, it's not even funny. Or, this happened at work today or whatever. And the communication shows your partner that you care, that you're interested in what they are going through. If you feel that a distance has grown between you and your partner, you may be able to bridge the gap by sharing how you feel. Well, I just kind of said that. You can come to a partner and say, I feel like you've been ignoring me and that hurts my feelings. And make it about you, because when you're pointing the finger and saying you, no one's going to listen to that. They're going to get defensive. Tell them how you feel. I feel like this, and that's something I had to learn to do because, I grew up with a lot of that finger pointing between my parents. And so that's what I learned. And so I had to unlearn that and say, well, you know what? I feel like, and then that tells him how I feel about it. And he's also learned to say that too because he grew up with that, from his mother especially too. So we've had to learn how to communicate and fight fairly. That's why couples counseling is a good thing. Do your best to avoid blame and regret, because life is life and you make your own choices. So if your partner suggested something and you went along with it and then later on you're mad and you want to blame them, this is because, well, you also made a choice to go along with that decision. And you might have done it, to keep the peace, but you still made that choice. So, you can't be putting all the blame on them. Regret. You're going to regret things in life because hindsight is 20/20, as they say. And when you look back, you can see, oh, I should have made this decision. I should have did that or the other. Oh, my ear is so itchy. But when you do that, and especially if you express that to your partner, I regret that we didn't do this, or that you made me do this, or I didn't do this, and then that tells them basically that you're not happy with things the way they are now, that you have regrets, and that's in the back of your mind. And then they're like, uh-oh, well, if she's dwelling on this, are we going to break up? What's going on here? Focus instead on the positive, which is the fact that you want to grow closer together. That's what you need to do. Focus on the positive because, if you love your mate, then you want to be with your mate. You want to be closer. That should go without saying, but sometimes just acknowledge that there is a distance between you has the effect of bringing the relationship into balance. And it's okay sometimes that there's a distance between you because if you're working on your own emotional or mental stuff and they're working on theirs, sometimes there needs to be a distance between you. We learned that if I'm riled up and he's riled up and you put us two together while we're riled up, that's a problem. Because we both have some repressed anger and a little bit of temper, and you put us together when we're riled up, it's not usually a good outcome. So sometimes we need to put some distance between us until we cool back down. Because when we cool back down, we're the best of friends. So you may want to set aside time to talk and come up with solutions together. And I do that with him. Usually we do it when we're either in the bed or, driving around. I feel like this is a problem. What are we going to do about this? Okay, well, we can do this. And like sometimes I feel like he's pulling back. And his mother puts a lot of pressure on him, to pay attention to her. So sometimes we just have to set the boundaries and say, this is our time together. We're going to do this together. We're not going to come do this for you. And she doesn't like it, but, we don't usually give her a choice. So, and we have a son who's living with her now, so that makes our life a little easier. We're not as sandwiched in our sandwich generation now that my middle son is actually living over there with her, taking care of her, so that has given us some breathing room. In other cases, more intense effort and attention may be required. So if you find the relationship is just a freaking mess, it might be time to go talk to a professional. Go to couples counseling and figure out, what's going on. Because sometimes you just don't have the words, or you don't know how to put it out there, how you're feeling, and express to them, this is a big problem to me, because you love this person, you're trying to get along with them, and then that builds up, resentment and anger, and, sometimes you just need to go get someone else's perspective and let them help you to communicate better so that the relationship can be better. And there's no shame in that. We did it, and there's no shame in that. Excuse me. Remember to have compassion for each other. And that's a big one right there. You know your spouse, and you know what they've lived through, you know what they've been through, you know how they are. So if you love them, you should be able to have compassion and understanding for them. Now that doesn't excuse any bad behavior or things like that, but you should be able to have compassion and understanding for them. Take a step back and say, well, if it was me, you're in the same boat together and trying to maintain the right balance of space and togetherness to keep your relationship healthy and thriving. And that should be both of your goals. And like I said, if you find yourself in a one-sided relationship, there's probably something better out there for you. Because if you're investing, the time and effort to make this relationship work, they should also be doing that. Express faith and confidence in each other, and enjoy the slow dance of intimacy that can resume between the two of you. And there should be, confidence in each other. I have confidence that he's going to be there for me, because he always has been. Even when he was mad at me when we weren't together, if I had a problem and he got wind of it, he would call me and say, hey, I heard you got a problem. He was willing to be there for me. And that showed me that he did care. But like I said, we knew we loved each other. We just didn't know how to love each other, because we did not have the best examples growing up of people who loved each other. We had a very, immature, selfish ideal of love. So we had to learn, what that looked like for each other, and how to be mature adults and not try to parent each other. That's what my sister and brother-in-law said, that things got better when they stopped trying to parent each other. And that's a mistake that a lot of people make. Especially when you're raising kids together, it's not your job to raise your spouse. That's their job once the parents are out of the picture when they turn 18. It's not your job, So just kind of give that a little break. And you should be intimate with each other. I'm not going to get into that aspect of things, because that's personal stuff between y'all. But, intimacy is like a dance. And you should slow dance maybe once a week with your partner, just in your bedroom or living room or whatever. Try to keep your relationship centered and balanced. If you feel like getting out of balance, have a discussion. Talk about it, come back together because, you're together because at one point you loved each other, and you know that. So, you should be willing to do what it takes, put in the time and effort to make it work. Think about it. That's all for now.